I started thinking, when did it all begin? I didn't sleep. At 4:30 a.m., I was still sitting at the kitchen table, watching the sky turn pale through the glass doors. Her suitcase was gone. Quiet exit, no slammed doors, just subtraction. The silence felt artificial, like a room where someone had just screamed. I opened her envelope. It wasn't just a letter. It was a script, a carefully worded explanation, preemptive apologies, a plea to protect what we have left for Melanie. No mention of his name, not once. Just a ghost between the lines. I folded the letter, placed it back, and set it on the table. When the sun cracked the horizon, I stood and moved to the cabinet. Pulled out the fire-safe box. I hadn't opened it in years. Inside, our prenup, the one she signed without reading, trusting, young, in love. The original copy, notarized. I flipped to clause 14, infidelity and disclosure. Clear, unambiguous. She had violated more than just vows. I placed the document beside her letter. Contrast. My phone buzzed. A message from Melanie. Don't forget to text when you wake up. Love you. I stared at it for a long time. Did she know? Did she guess? Number not yet. I stood in front of the mirror by the stairs, tie loose, shirt wrinkled, eyes bloodshot. But I didn't look broken. I looked alert. And for the first time in months, I felt something close to certainty. This wasn't going to destroy me. It was going to define me. The cork popped like a gunshot. Everyone laughed. She leaned into him, my wife, giggling as the foam spilled over the neck of the bottle. His hand lingered a little too long on hers. Nobody noticed. Or pretended not to. I raised my glass. To Melanie, I said. Our light, our future, and the one who made it all worthwhile. They clapped. Someone wiped a tear. She smiled at me, perfectly measured, like she'd rehearsed it in the mirror. And for a second, the whole room blurred. Not from the champagne, but from something I couldn't name yet. Something tightening. I didn't drink. Dinner dragged, toasts, laughter, Melanie shining like a star in that pale blue dress, the kind her mother never let her wear when she was younger. She sat between us, oblivious, or acting. The weight of everything teetered in the air like a chandelier missing one screw. I watched her, my wife, talk to him across the table. Not flirt, not openly. But the angle of her body, the tilt of her voice, the way she touched her necklace. A code I once knew. You're quiet, said Paul, my brother-in-law, nudging me. You okay? Just soaking it in, I said, forcing a smile. Big day. He nodded, already distracted by his phone. Across the room, the waitstaff brought out cake. The lights dimmed. Applause. Music. That's when she touched my arm. Can we talk? Outside. The garden was strung with lights, the cheap kind she said she hated. Funny how she never got around to taking them down. She handed me an envelope, heavy, cream-colored. I wanted to wait until after, she said. But I can't fake this anymore. I looked at the envelope. No name, just wait. I'm leaving you, she added, voice flat. It's not just about him. It hasn't been us for a long time. Who else knows? No one, yet. I met her eyes. So this was your big finale? She blinked. What? This night, the setup, the dress, the wine, the speech about new beginnings. That was for Melanie. No, I said. That was for you. She stepped back, defensive. Are you angry? No. Then say something. I reached into my jacket and handed her my own folder. Slim, structured, cold. What's this? The real finale. She opened it. Her eyes scanned quickly, then stopped. You had me followed? Number just followed the numbers. This is insane. Number, it's legal. She stared at me. For the first time that night, unsure. Back inside, the room felt too bright. Melanie was dancing with her friends, but her eyes kept flicking toward the window. She saw us. She knew something cracked. Guests started leaving. I shook hands, smiled, said all the right things. She disappeared upstairs. I stayed down, collecting plates like nothing happened. But something had, something irreversible. At 2:12 a.m., I sat alone in the kitchen, her envelope untouched, my folder gone. Her perfume still hung in the hallway like an accusation. I didn't move. Melanie came down, barefoot. Is Mom okay? She will be. Did something happen? I looked at her, her face still soft from childhood, but her eyes, they had questions I wasn't ready to answer. Go to sleep, I said. You've got a life to start tomorrow. She lingered. Dad, she whispered, are you and Mom breaking up? I exhaled. You'll understand one day. Right now, just rest. She left. And that's when I asked myself, really asked, when did it all begin? Was it the late nights, the silence, the polite dinners where her fork never clinked? Or was it earlier, the day I started lying to myself? Either way, it ended tonight, and the end was only the beginning. By mid-morning, I was already at the bank. I'd like to separate the accounts, I said to the clerk. Everything under joint ownership. I want it suspended until legal review. She nodded politely. Do you have the documentation? I slid the folder across. Clean, indexed, bound. The clerk blinked, then caught herself. This is very thorough. I've had time. Back home, I found the house exactly as I left it. Every room frozen in post-party inertia. Half-empty glasses, chairs askew, a balloon tangled in the chandelier like it was trying to escape. I walked into the living room, looked at the couch, the place where I once found her phone blinking in the dark, a message from someone she called R. I didn't open it that night, just stared at the screen until it timed out. I remember thinking, if I don't see it, it's not real. That's the moment it began to rot, not the affair, the denial. Now I wanted no more secrets, no more saving her from consequences. I went upstairs, opened the closet. Half her clothes were gone, the rest hung like artifacts, curated, irrelevant. I pulled down the shoebox I'd hidden 3 weeks ago. Inside, screenshots, statements, bank records, the last hotel booking, her flights, the one to Austin, labeled as a wellness conference. I traced the timeline, mapped it out, no emotion, just facts, and then I called Marcus, my attorney. It's time, I said. Understood, he replied. We file Monday. That night, I sat with Melanie. Just us. Chinese takeout, too many spring rolls, a movie neither of us watched. She leaned her head on my shoulder. I love you, Dad. I love you too. Even if stuff's weird right now, I'm here, okay? I nodded, but didn't speak. There were words I couldn't give her yet. But I would, soon. And when I did, they'd be the truth. Not the kind people tell to survive marriage, the kind that builds something after it collapses. The silence between us felt different now. Not a void, a pause, before movement. Sunday passed in fragments. In the morning, I opened every window in the house, let the spring air in, the smell of cut grass, car exhaust, someone grilling 2 blocks away. It all felt louder than usual, like the world was trying to fill the emptiness she left behind. I didn't let it. Instead, I moved through each room like I was reclaiming territory, took down old pictures, not out of rage, precision. I boxed them carefully, labeled each. Family, before. At noon, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. Hello? Silence. Then, I heard about last night. It was him. His voice was smoother than I expected, confident, like someone who believed he'd already won. I just want to say, I never meant for it to happen this way. You mean behind my back? A pause. Look, this isn't good for anyone. Maybe we can talk. Calmly. I think we can be civil. I smiled. We won't be talking again. He tried to continue, but I hung up, blocked the number. Power didn't come from yelling. It came from silence, the kind that didn't need explanation. By evening, my lawyer sent over the first draft. Marcus was a tactician, sharp, precise, the kind of man who didn't ask if I was okay. He asked for timelines, asset breakdowns, evidence logs. He didn't care about emotion. I liked that. There's a clause she won't expect, he said over the phone. It's buried in the real estate joint trust. If she moved assets under someone else's name, it counts as misrepresentation. Could cost her her share. She did, I replied. Page 15. He chuckled. You're good at this. I had incentive. That night, I stood in the backyard, looked up at the second-floor window, our old bedroom. Her light was off. I remembered the first time I brought her here, the way she spun in the empty living room, barefoot, said it felt like home before it even had furniture. Now it felt like a stage that had outlived the script, and still, I didn't hate her. But I wouldn't protect her either. Not from the truth, not from the consequences. I was done being the man who kept his mouth shut to keep the peace. Tomorrow, the war would begin, quiet, strategic, legal, and I'd win, not for revenge. But to reclaim the part of me I let her own for too long. Monday. The courthouse smelled like coffee and varnish, that stale scent of bureaucracy and quiet collapse. I wasn't nervous. I wasn't even angry. I was focused. She arrived late, hair immaculate, jacket sharp, alone. I didn't stand. Just watched her walk in like she still expected the world to arrange itself around her. When she saw me, her expression flickered. Not fear, not guilt, recognition. She finally understood who she was dealing with. Mr. Hollis? The clerk called. I stood, handed over the documents. Everything tight, labeled, complete. Her lawyer, a sharp-featured woman with a too-cheerful voice, began with pleasantries. Marcus didn't smile. We'll begin with full financial disclosure. Item 1, hidden asset transfer. I slid the exhibit forward. Her face drained. Just a moment. You went through my private accounts? She said under her breath. No, I said. I went through our trust. The judge leaned in. Ms. Hollis, Marcus continued, this action violates Clause 14B of the prenuptial agreement. We request immediate arbitration and full stay on contested assets. Her lawyer asked for a recess. Denied. We kept going. Every line was a brick falling from the wall she'd built. Each number, each date, a crack in the illusion. When they brought up Melanie, I didn't flinch. We request joint custody, no restrictions, Marcus said, and no relocation. She didn't object. Of course she didn't. She had no footing left. At the end, the judge called for summary review. The words blurred, but one phrase stuck. Clear and premeditated financial misconduct. Outside, she caught up with me. You planned this, she said. Same words as that night. I turned. I adapted. You wanted to hurt me. No, I said quietly. I wanted to stop hurting myself. She stepped closer. You really think she won't hate you for this? That Melanie won't see you as the cold one? I looked at her. Let her see. I'm not hiding anymore. She opened her mouth, closed it, walked away. Not fast, not slow, but alone. And for the first time in a long time, so was I. But this kind of alone? It felt like the beginning. Tuesday morning, I returned to the office I hadn't stepped into in 6 months. The receptionist blinked when she saw me. "Mr. Hollis?" "Just visiting," I said, "but I'll need the conference room at 10. The team gathered quickly. Old colleagues, analysts, the junior partner who once pitched a merger I saved from collapse. They all looked confused. "Some of you may have heard rumors," I began. "Here's the truth. I'm back. Not for revenge, not for nostalgia, for reinvention." A silence, then questions, then motion. By noon, I'd reclaimed my seat at the consultancy firm I built, the one I let fade when I thought I was building something more important, a family. But now I realized I was always building alone. Later that week, I met Melanie at her new campus. We sat on a bench near the quad, spring air, student chatter, the world pulsing forward. She didn't say much at first, then quietly, "She said you ambushed her." "I didn't. She said you were cold." I waited. But I saw her emails, on the iPad. She forgot to sign out. My breath caught, not from the words, but from how calmly she said them. "I'm sorry you had to see that." "I'm not," she replied. It made everything make sense. A pause. "Are you mad at her?" she asked. "I'm done being mad." Another silence. "I think you were the only one who didn't lie," she said. And that, more than any verdict, any clause, any check, was the real win. That night, I walked through my house again, slowly, lights off. I stopped in the dining room, the same one where we toasted with champagne, where she gave me the envelope. I stood at the head of the table, empty chairs, a clean tablecloth, and the echo of my own voice from that night, to her clarity. I didn't smile, but I didn't look away either, because clarity had come, not in the way I wanted, but exactly how I needed. And now there was work to do, real work, the kind that doesn't save a marriage, but builds a man. The fundraiser was held at a rooftop gallery downtown, glass walls, string quartet, curated smiles. I came alone, black suit, no tie. People turned when I walked in. Whispers, nods, some curious, some sympathetic. I didn't care. I was no longer the man who flinched at attention. At the bar, someone touched my shoulder. Her, new dress, same perfume. "You look good," she said. "So do you." A pause. "You came," she added. "It's for Melanie's scholarship fund, not about us." She sipped her wine. "I didn't think you'd want to be in the same room." "I'm not here for the room." I turned to leave. She stopped me. "He left," she blurted. 2 weeks ago." I said nothing. "I just thought you should know." "Why?" She hesitated. "Because maybe I made the wrong choice." I met her eyes, calm, measured. "You didn't choose wrong," I said. "You just didn't choose me." She opened her mouth, but I was already walking. Later, on the balcony, Melanie joined me. "This view's insane," she said. "Your future looks better." She laughed. "You're really okay, aren't you?" I looked out over the skyline, clean lines, moving lights, endless hum. "I'm getting there." She leaned against my arm. "You know, you kind of scare me now," she said. "Why?" "Because you're calm. Too calm." I smiled. "That's not fear, that's respect." She nodded slowly. "Yeah, that's probably true." We stood in silence a while. No music, no speeches, just night. And finally, peace. She stood at the edge of my driveway. No makeup, no mask, just her, tired, older, real. I opened the door, but didn't step out. "Can we talk?" she asked. I said nothing, a long breath. Then, "I miss what we had." I looked at her for what felt like the last time. We never had the same thing, I said, and closed the door.